in the fat burning side of it, so you're not going to have as many of the drops in the beginning. But I will tell you, it will still be okay. If you can do, I will tell you, 3 days is what I call, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, and you've done fasting too, so 3 days is a sweet spot. If you can make 3 days of intermittent fasting, eating what you're supposed to eat healthy-wise in the window of the time frame, there's something that occurs in the 4th and 5th day. You think that you're going to continue to be super tired. You think that you're not going to go, I can't do this. But there's, as if you're, and it's like a light switch in your body, that it starts to switch the fuel that it's burning. And the mental clarity, the focus, and you're shaking your head back there, so you clearly know it's, and you don't expect it. If you've never done intermittent fasting before, your first day, you're like, it's actually your second day, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't work, I can't do this. Keep at it, because 4th or 5th day, it is like a light switch, and you all of a sudden have energy, you have mental clarity, and you times, I mean, your spouse or your friend's going to be like, what are you doing? And you will notice then that you can start to even go a little bit longer on the space in between food, because your body has really like switched the fuel. It's basically switched the fuel that it's burning. So be patient. Give yourself some room to screw it up. There's no right or wrong. Nobody's grading you. It's not a pass. It's not a, you're not going to get a grade at the end of it. Arnold's not going to throw you out of your vibe if you did 14 instead of 16. But you do want to communicate with your coach. There are people that I know that train fasting. I don't personally recommend it. It is, though, about what works for you. If you're someone who trains at 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm guessing you already have kind of a plan, because there are, like I said, there are some people that it works for, some people that it is a disaster. And Carlos has probably seen it many times. They come in the morning or come in at a certain time period, and they've not eaten, they're not making it through. It can also depend on the workout. If you're trying to make strength gains and you're doing nothing but loading weight on to try to make maximum strength gains, I would recommend coming in fasted. If you're going to do a HIIT workout or something, but communicate with your coach. So don't just show up here, maybe text me and say, hey, I'm starting intermittent fasting, here's my thoughts, here's our workout time frame. Again, it comes back to what works for you. Work schedule, workout schedule, family schedule. So I think I've just done a ton of talking, like speedy fast. Questions? Yes?
So obviously we can drink water. You were saying tea. When we're fasting, we can still consume water, tea.
That's perfect. Great. Thank you because I forgot about that. So yeah, so a typical fast would be a water fast. That would be like a basic fast, water fast. There are dry fasts, believe it or not. I've not done that. So water, green tea, herbal tea, black coffee. After that, it gets, I would call it slightly gray, because you'll see things like bulletproof coffee, where you add the butter to your coffee, or MCT oil. You can have a small amount of that, and you can still be considered fasting. Now, if you add almond milk creamer and 3 stevias into your coffee and butter, no, it's not, it's going to trigger it. So there are people who are very, very sensitive that even artificial sweeteners, so diet soda, but there are people that have fasted for long enough that it doesn't affect them as much as someone who's very sensitive to it. So you can't go wrong with water, green tea, herbal tea, black coffee. Just aim for no calories, no sweeteners, especially in the beginning. You'll get there faster into that state, and not to mention, there's artificial sweeteners and sodas are bad. Great question, though. Thank you. Yes.
You're saying that before workout you should eat. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Well, so it depends. I think that if you came to me, I would recommend to most everyone to have eaten before they work out. I do know, though, people who work out without having, in a fasted state, It's not their first workout. They've done fasting for quite a while. They have it down, they know it works. If for someone that comes to me, and probably, I don't know, Arnold, you're probably in the same position, I would not recommend it as a, it's one thing that you could test down the road, but I wouldn't start with it because it's setting up a recipe for disaster there.
Do you care about the strength training or cardio workout?
Well, yeah, so definitely not a strength training workout would be my opinion. But based on what the cardio is and how high the heart rate goes, it may be actually a great thing for you to do. So if you're wearing a heart rate monitor and you're tracking, it could be very beneficial if you keep your heart rate under a certain point. So if you're working out, and so with the MyZone, I don't know if people know the MyZone, so you have levels. It's blue, green, yellow, and red. So obviously red is not a zone you want to be in a fasting state. Yellow, probably not, but if you kept a blue and green, depending on the person, that may be over a sustained period of time perfect and beneficial. If you're someone who is, again, I guess it's going to depend on kind of a body fat, how much you have to lose. But for me, I would recommend that you talk to your coach, let them know, figure out what the workout is, and it's also based on your goals. Yes, June.
I need clarification. So you're saying my intermittent fasting, when I do it, I eat from 10 to 6.
Okay.
So I'm at 8:16. But I do 3 small meals in the snacks.
Okay.
But you're saying, so when you do an intermittent fasting, you're completely fasting, no food at all? Or did I misunderstand you?
No, it's the window. So you have, so you said you're eating windows 10 to 6. Yeah, and you're eating your meals in there, and then you're fasting.
I've done it in the past. I'm not doing it now. I'm thinking of trying it again because of my issues.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that would be helpful again.
So, yeah, so I'm sorry, so did that clarify for you? So
Yes,
you eat
yes.
during your eating window,
Yeah.
and then you don't during the, whatever you're
Yes,
identified
yes.
as
And I
fasting.
agree, the first day when I start is always tough. What I do is I go to bed. So the first day I'm in bed by 6:10. Like I'll eat, stay up for 30 minutes. I'm ravenous. My husband eats ice cream and stuff in front of me. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed. So then the second night is better, but then by the third day I'm fine. I'm back, used to it. But I do train. I only eat 10 to 6 and I come in and train at 7. So without an empty,
Yeah.
or with an empty stomach, and I do okay.
It's doable and based on the workout, but I think it's also somebody who, I think depends on the person sometimes too,
Yeah.
and the mindset. So you know what you're doing, you've done it, it's not new for you to come in at that time and work out. So it definitely is doable, just think it through first, and maybe talk it through first so that you don't show up and it's, load the bar with weights because it's strength training day and you haven't eaten for 12 hours.
Now, there is a form of intermittent fasting, though, that does go, you eat 5 days and you're off 2. Is that correct?
Yes, and so you will, again, when you Google, there are so many options. And again, there are really no right or wrong. So there's days, there's fasting where you can not eat for a 24-hour window. And so you eat dinner, and then you eat dinner the next night. There's eating day, option 3 and 2, 5 and 3. 5 and 3 is what I've seen also. There's no downside really to any of them. It's what works for you. There are some people that like to fast during the work week because it's too busy for them. They don't even have to think about it. But then it gives them some flexibility on the weekend. That could be a dangerous thing for some people. Maybe some people are going to fast on the weekend and eat during the work week because it's more strict. So yeah, there's just really no rules to it. It's about finding a plan that works for you and your schedule. Anybody else? Great, that's all I have.
Okay.
I really want to put it out there, guys, that it's very important topic to understand that when you're supposed to and when you're not supposed to eat. If you work out on an empty stomach, you're not going to be able to perform as well as when you're eating something. Okay? Some of you are smiling, some of you are just nodding the head because you probably got the speech from me or from other coaches that you shouldn't be doing that. All right? Again, if you don't have a MyZone heart rate monitor, again, it's a disadvantage because in any case, if you ever do a fasting workout, that's okay, but it cannot be more than a very low intensity cardiovascular workout. And at that time, you truly have to know your numbers. That's how Ms. Kristen started her conversation this evening, and her speech is you need to know your numbers. At this time, you need to know your numbers where your heart rate is constantly. Okay, 60-70% of your maximum heart rate where you're actually in the fat burning zone and you're not tapping into the muscle fibers. Okay, once you start to do a HIIT training, a high intensity interval training, you're going to start picking muscle tissue up. And that's what I can talk about for quite some time, but I don't want to. Basically, you need to understand that as you're aging, you're going to lose muscle mass, period. Okay? You need to understand that, period. You want to hold on to that muscle mass because at the end of the day, that's going to keep you structurally balanced, aligned, strong, and that's going to keep your metabolic level up to a certain level. Okay? So it's very, very important to hold on to the muscle mass. And whenever you train hard, and even though a high intensity workout is excellent because it's going to help you to increase your growth hormone production, so you're going to get leaner, you're going to preserve your muscle mass as well, but if there is no fueling you, you're going to start to tap into the muscle fibers, okay? So if you do a strength training, there's no questions about it when you do strength training, you have to fuel your body, period. So in my case, in my sense, and I used to do cardiovascular workout when I competed, and still to this day, it's a questionable topic that is it a really good position to be in when you're training on an absolutely empty stomach. According to the current researchers, I do believe that what I follow as well, in any case, if I do any kind of form of workouts in the morning, amino acids are in my system. If you're not sure what amino acids are, those are actually broken down protein powders, basically, okay? And amino acids are building up your muscle fibers, okay? You need to understand that if nothing else, if you're not eating anything else, but you're definitely providing a little bit of amino acids in your system, you're going to actually have to preserve that muscle fibers. Now, if you want to actually perform well, you have to have some carbohydrates. All right? So it's very, yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you give us an example since I come in at 7?
Sure.
So we have it.
Okay. Easiest way, half of an apple or an orange or a grapefruit. And why those? Again, you need to understand why those fruits. Because not each fructose created equal. Okay? Very, very important. These are, for example, an apple has a pectin in there, which has fiber, so it's not going to stimulate your blood sugar level to such a high levels that your insulin is going to drop it down and you're going to feel like, what's going on with me? I'm about to faint. So it's going to help you to create a nice blood sugar level. Oranges, any kind of citrusy fruits, has high amount of C vitamins, which is going to help you with the L-arginine production in your system, and therefore it's going to help you with nitric oxide production. When, I don't know if you're familiar with nitric oxide, not nitrous, nitric oxide, it is actually very important to have, and a few years back, actually, I would say like probably over a decade ago, like 15 years ago, Dr. Luis Ignaro actually created a product which has L-citrulline and L-arginine in there, lemon balm, and a particular created for the evening time to avoid heart attacks. Because what it does, it's vasodilate your vascular system, okay? So it's going to help you to open up, okay? So that's going to help you to open up your arteries, more nutrients are going to be able to flow through there. So it definitely, and because of that, it's going to help you through your workout as well, okay?
That's the orange.
That's the orange or apple, any citrusy fruit, definitely. So I wouldn't eat a banana unless you're an avid runner, okay? That's a different story again. Right now, we are talking about purposeful training methods because our goal is to stay lean and preserve our muscle mass, okay? That's very, very important, okay? So, again, one more very quick note, if you would allow. It is, everybody knows, or a lot of people knows Dr. Mercola, right?
Yes.
Right, Dr. Mercola. I wanted to bring his example up because that man is fighting my system since I know him, okay? It's not because I'm smarter than him, absolutely not, he's a doctor. And for the longest time he thought that I'm just a stupid trainer. But at the end of the day, now all of a sudden at 68 years old, he is just out of his mind and he's putting muscle mass on because following my system. And he feels great, and he's not wondering why at 3,500 calories, what he used to eat, 3,500 calories, think about that, at 60 years old, and he couldn't understand why he was losing weight. Because most of them came from fat. He was very restricted in his protein intake because, and again, he was trying to, he was a big advocate of using keto diets and fasting, of course, and he was doing like, 48, 72 hours fasting and then coming down and just, not to be able to perform, but pushing himself through. Anyway, now he understands the importance of maintaining his muscle mass. Okay, so, and he's a smart guy. I'm not saying that he's not a smart guy. He's like to try out things, and that's how he learns. So because of that, I have quite a bit of respect. But let's learn from these guys, from all of us, from Ms. Kristen, from myself, from Dr. Mercola, from your coaches as well, and make sure that we put like a little bit of understanding together what you're supposed to follow. Not the facts, but whatever works for you. If intermittent fasting works for you, terrific.
Is, just like with Mercola, yeah, so finding what works for you based on what your goal is.
Yeah.
So Mercola's goals have shifted throughout the time.
Correct.
Part of it is just, for him, was a fun experiment, but it's what's your goal. If you want to add lean muscle, if you want to get stronger, if you want to do more on the squat rack, if you want to lose body fat, identify exactly what your goal is, and then find what tools work there. Communication with your coach and tracking, and knowing kind of what all the numbers are. So it's putting you on a path for that. And what does that include? Does it include longer fasts? Does it include short fasts? So what's your goal and
Right.
the plan to get there?
But I just want to make sure, for clarity reasons, Dr. Mercola didn't do it necessarily because he just wanted to try it out. He did it for longevity purposes. My coaches are focusing on your longevity. Okay? We want to make sure to preserve your muscle mass. We're not trying to hurt you or harm you, and we're trying to give you nutritional advices to make sure that you can have a longer healthy life. Okay? Every single one of my coaches. All right? And Dr. Mercola actually, because he was studying that particular method, he thought that that's the proper way to actually increase his longevity and have a good and healthy life, a long life. And now he understands it a little bit differently. Even though it is important, fasting has definitely purpose. We want to make sure, again, first and foremost, preserve our muscle mass.
It's really all about who you trust.
100%.
And Revive, I'm here to witness that. That sounds like it's a. Well, it's a religious thing. But I've been here for 6 years now, and yeah, it's been very good for me. I was watching Dr. Mercola do